Okay guys, before we begin, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to Anthony Flores, Colton Resanen, Monse, Jake Dillon, DJ Didios, Hot Korean Guy, and Claude C. Page, and Daniel Young. You guys are so great for becoming part of the Patreon community and becoming great Macky rolls that, contribute to me. I'm honestly honored. If you guys want shoutouts like this, make sure to become a patron. I'm working on a proper way to reward higher paying patrons, but in the meantime, I'll try to work on the exclusive content just for patrons. You guys are doing great work supporting me. If you can't afford Patreon, don't force yourselves, alright? I just want you guys to enjoy yourselves. That said, you can also freely, withdraw your support if you need to. I won't ask questions. This is your money and your right. Got it? Good. Now back to the show. Hey guys, before we begin, I'd just like to remind you all to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can get the latest on my videos. Otherwise, you can also just visit my website. It works. Sorry. Hello guys, California Macky here. Hope you're doing well and welcome back to Chess of Blades. It's been a while. My voice is kind of shot, so I chose this game specifically for that. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's get started. Look, I can't voice act right now, sadly. Oops, wrong one. Wrong menu. August. We are in August. No, fuck. Load! Takes a little while for the restless tossing and turning, but eventually the haze of slumber set. I can't do a Rivian voice right now, so I'm just gonna talk regularly. And I drift off into unconsciousness.
Chocolate.
Ooh! Chocolate!
Don't put that there. It tickles.
Rivian, what are you dreaming? A loud knocking on my door suddenly burst the bubble of my pleasant dreams. It's raining. Startled awake, I push myself upright, blinking to rid my eyes of haziness. Outside my window, the sky is unusually dark. The soft pattering of droplets against the glass make me realize it must be stormy.
Coming. I'm coming! One moment!
See me, I'm coming! Me too! I'm so close! I'm there! Fuck, sorry. I pull on my clothes as fast as I can, missing a few buttons, and rush over to the door to pull it open. Oh, sorry. It's the maid. Rather than the face of someone I was expecting like Franz or Silas, the person standing before me is Elizabeth. Hazel. Millie, sorry, I forgot names.
Sir Rivian, it's terrible. I did something awful. Please help me.
Okay. Sir Rivian, it's terrible. I did something awful. Please help me. Sorry, if she said the voice, I did not read it or hear it. I had my earphones up at the time. I'll just put it back in. She's about to break into tears. Emily bites her lower lip and stares up at me pleadingly.
Let's calm down, shall we? Step inside for a moment and tell me what happened.
I gesture for her to enter my room a bit awkwardly, and she hurries past the door with an anxious nod. What could be troubling her? Well, what an extravagant start to my morning. A hysterical maid begging me for help. I'm sure this can only portend great things for the rest of the day. After I close the door behind us, I turn back to Emily, frowning at her desperate expression.
Slow down for a moment, Emily, and take a deep breath. Now, what's the matter?
It's Lady Valora. She's been apprehended by the guards.
Valora? I blink. Sure, I must have misheard. My aunt arrested. She's an ambassador.
Are you sure you're talking about Valora?
Oh,
the King's Foreign Affairs Advisor. Old stuffy lady? Gruesome
She seems to be the most
personality?
zealous. I didn't expect her to be apprehended.
Yes, I am. I know you're late.
She has no way to
and I
betray
was
the
afraid to
crowd.
come to you because I thought you'd be angry, but I don't know who else to ask.
From how pale and visibly unsettled the woman is, she's clearly done something related to Valora's apprehension. Must be quite bad too. I'm not sure how else they'd have grounds for detaining a woman of her position.
Well, I'm sure everything was just a big misunderstanding. Why did they arrest her? Glaring too angrily at the Inquisitor?
She swallows hard, grasping the hem of the skirt so hard that her knuckles start to whiten.
They found a weapon in her room, a knife covered with dried blood. It matches the wound on the victim from the other night, and so she's been taken in and charged with murder.
That's a framing. My old baddie aunt, a murderer? Impossible, and yet why on earth was something like that in her room? She was framed.
But Ceribian, I think that knife was there because of me.
Whoa, hold on there. Because of you?
Oh shoot, sorry. Guys, I'm not sure if the recording managed to save its audio, so I'm just gonna pause for a quick bit. Stop. Sorry guys, I had to check if the audio would chop up. I didn't want it to chop up. He needs more details? She brushes her trembling fingers through her hair, inhaling and exhaling a deep breath in a visible attempt to calm herself.
Well, 2 nights ago, I was cleaning the upper halls when suddenly one of the guards approached me. He gave me a small bundle of wrapped cloth and told me it was something Lady Valora had dropped. But as she was down in the ballroom, I ought to leave it in her room when I went clean it. I thought it was, well, a little strange, but I didn't see any reason not to trust one of the guards. So when I went to Lady Valora's chambers, I tucked the wrapped cloth inside one of her top drawers, since she is a very fastidious lady and does not like anything lying around her room.
I can tell from her crestfallen, guilty tone of voice that she's beating herself up inside for being used to frame Valora. It's difficult to really blame her, though. I can guess who the god she spoke with was. It must have been right after the murder. And now that I think about it, didn't that brawler from earlier say he saw her in the hallway that night?
The thing is, I couldn't shake the horrible feeling that I got from speaking with the guard. The way he gave me the bundle and very slowly, quietly, told me to put it in her room. It was almost like he was threatening me. It made me feel so nervous that my hands were shaking on my way to Lady Valora's chambers. But I thought that if I complained about the guard to someone in charge, I'd be punished or mocked for it, so I said nothing.
She trails off into an almost inaudible murmur, closing her eyes for a long moment, her head drooping slowly towards the ground. The poor woman looks like she's ready for me to start yelling at her at the top of my lungs, as if she's some sort of puppy who just chewed up all of the expensive furniture. Of course, Valora's life is a bit more important than furniture. Only slightly, though.
Well, this is a proper mess, isn't it? Did you explain all of that to the Inquisitor, though? I'm sure he's reasonable enough to see it was a setup.
Just when I thought Emily was already white as a ghost, she seems to somehow grow a shade paler.
The thing is, sir, that wasn't all they found. There was something else. A blood-stained cloth, hidden in her personal chest, which only she has the key to. I didn't put it there, and only Silas and I hold the master keys for the guest chambers, but I know it wasn't Silas. I'd sooner trust him before myself, and so Lady Valora must have known about the cloth.
That's troublesome. Confusion clouds my mind as I pause Emily's concerned words. Yeah, that's a bit conflicting. I still don't see how Valora could possibly be a killer, for anything except hopes and dreams, that is, so why did she have something so incriminating? She's a smart woman. Whatever she was doing with that cloth, I'm sure she knew the risks of keeping it in her room.
I'm starting to think this was a very well-planned setup. The key is just to find who's moving all the pieces into place.
I don't mention it aloud to Emily, but it sounds very plausible that the disciples of Ignatius are behind this too. To both kill an ambassador and worsen relations even further by framing a foreign advisor, it's a perfect plan to force 2 countries into war.
I think you're right, sir. I want to see Lady Valora freed and apologise for everything. I don't know what I should do, and I fear if I involve myself too much, my little Hazel may be in danger.
The maid gazes at me pleadingly as if expecting me to solve everything, save the day right then and there.
You've been quite helpful, Emily. Don't be too hard on yourself. I'll find a way to figure this out. Somehow.
I believe in you, sir. The king always put such faith in your father to solve every problem that came up, and I'm sure you'll become even more famous than he was.
How do you know about my father, though? I wince a little as my father's brought up, like always. She means well, so it's difficult to get too annoyed at her. That, and I'm pretty sure she'd burst into tears if I so much as gave her an angry look right now.
Yes. Well, that aside, I'll reach out to you should I have any questions. In the meantime, don't go taking any more parcels from strangers, eh?
As you say, sir. Thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
She gives me a grateful curtsy and hurries back to the door, quietly slipping out. I'm left with a renewed uncomfortable sense of responsibility, and I sigh quietly while rubbing the bridge of my nose. It's one thing to look out for myself, but now I have to try and get Valora off the hook too. As much as I try to put on a brave face for Emily, I feel like this is quickly measuring up to an impossible task. As if to echo my sentiments, the distant thunder rumbles slowly like the growl of some unseen danger. My stomach growls too, reminding me that I haven't eaten since yesterday afternoon. There was so much going on that I didn't even think about it. Well, I could always stand to lose a few pounds, probably. After staring contemplatively out of my window for a few minutes, I head into the hallway, closing the door behind me. Today's the last day of celebration, so it is the only chance I have to catch the murderer and clear my aunt's name. I'll try to investigate some more and find something that'll give me a hint as to who framed Valora and how. And then tomorrow I'll finally be able to flee this hellhole and head back to home where I belong. Excuse me. I'm going to seriously think twice before leaving the house ever again. I make my way from the guest room to the upper level of the main hall, hearing the chattering of voices grow steadily louder. It is a welcome change from the eerie silence of last night, so despite my dislike of crowds, I find myself actually a little relieved. At the main hall, I can quickly see that a number of the guests are gathered here to talk and be served elegant finger foods, courtesy of the numerous servants drifting around with trays. The rain outside is pouring down and doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon, so the castle will probably be packed most of the day. I grab a cup of tea and some strange but delicious sweet cake that I've never seen before and tuck it into it while walking around the upper balcony. I'm hoping for a glimpse of Silas, Alistair, or that brawler man, since they might be able to give me a few more clues. This cake is really good. Is it poisoned? As I chew the sweet sponginess with relish, my eyes suddenly catch a familiar black ponytail standing not far off. A ponytail attached to its owner, of course, whose tall, slim figure and bespectacled face I recognize clearly. Swallowing the rest of my cake, I hurry over to the table, Linnaeus is furtively looking around. When I get close, I resist the temptation to tug at his temptingly fluffy tied back hair. Instead, clear my throat loudly.
Linnaeus! Just the man I wanted to see.
He jumps a little, whirling around to face me with a startled hand caught in the cookie jar sort of expression.
What are you doing so shadily over here? Wait a moment, is that wine? It's not even noon yet.
Well, excuse me, Mr. High and Mighty.
Calm down!
If you had to detain your own king's blasted advisor, you'd be drinking your pain away too.
In his hand, Linnaeus holds a half-empty glass of wine, and it looked like he was about to reach for the bottle when I snuck up on him.
Besides, I'm just getting a brief break from trying to solve this ridiculous affair. I'm not looking forward to questioning your old witch of an aunt, let me tell you.
Ah, at least we agree she's an awful old lady then. But I assure you, Linnaeus, there's no way she could be a murderer. You must know that.
Lets out a heavy sigh, taking a long drink from the ruby liquid in his cup before pushing up his glasses and turning his gaze reluctantly towards me.
I can't deny the facts, Verison. The cloth hidden in her room, along with the maid's testimony of being threatened by a suspicious guard, right after you encountered that guard last night, is about as incriminating as you can get. Do I actually believe she did it? No. But the politics of the matter demand that someone is punished for this crime, or else our relations with Pruivia will grow even worse.
He sounds unusually grim for once, and I can tell that he's not happy with the position he's in. As much as I'd like to be angry with him, it's hard to hate the man just doing his job.
The real culprit is still out there, you know. I'll be damned if I don't get to him before the celebration is over. And when I do, you're writing my aunt an apology letter.
An amused, curious smirk crosses Linnaeus' sharp features, his eyes glittering at me with interest behind his glasses.
Am I now? Well, best of luck to you. I've already questioned everyone involved, but perhaps you want to start with your attacker from last night, who firmly testifies that your aunt collaborated with him to murder the ambassador. Or maybe you could ask Valora's own ward, that boy, Alistair.
Valora is taking care of Alistair? Really? Well, it's true she's currently childless. Her only daughter ran away from home. And come to think of it, Alistair said something about this guardian being in a bad mood the other day. Perhaps she took him in off the streets and that's why he's so jittery and anxious all the time. Poor fellow. If I had to spend every waking hour with Valora, I'd probably be at my wit's end too.
I see. Well, I suppose I'll start sniffing out some clues then. By the way, Linnaeus, why were you giving me that odd look the other night? Back when I was being detained in your office.
What were you thinking? He only shrugs at that, topping off his glass of wine before turning slightly away.
Why indeed? I knew you had neither the guts nor the spine to kill a man. But if you were in the gardens during the murder, you were almost certainly seen by the true culprit. I figured I could keep your impulsive self safe for the rest of the party, locked in a guarded room. But clearly, you prefer to rely on that bastard Chaumont instead. A questionable decision.
Hey, you wouldn't blame me! Ah, honey. Linnaeus shakes his head disapprovingly, gaze darkening with mistrust.
Luckily for him, everyone seems to have forgotten about the nasty political affairs he was rumored to be caught up in a few years ago. Oh well, it's your reputation, Varison, and your life.
Cute. With that mockingly cool, flippant statement, he pushes up his glasses and turns away, striding briskly towards the stairs. Seriously, the guy could use a little bit of a break, I guess. Even though my first instinct is to brush them off as petty dislike, Linnaeus' words remain ringing distantly in my ears. I've yet to hear a positive thing about Franz from anyone. It's difficult to ignore all the suspicion when it keeps piling up. Franz Chaumont. I eyed the wine table for a longing moment. No, Rivian getting completely sozzled is not going to help your investigation. Taking a deep breath out to stiffen my self-control, I turn away and force myself down to the lower level. More importantly, I need to see about meeting with Alistair or the blasted god. Although, there's something I hadn't even considered before. What if by some chance there's still a clue around the place of the crime? Assuming that's the gardens where the ambassador was found, surely there won't be anyone wanting to snoop outside the ring either. It's a bit of a long shot, but this seems like one of the few opportunities I have to try it. I casually make my way over towards the garden exit, trying not to look particularly out of place. It seems a lot of ladies brought their parasols down, expecting to go outside today, but thanks to the rain, a number of them are neatly arranged in a rack not far from the garden door. I make sure no one's directly observing me, then make a subtle reach for one of the parasols. They're not exactly the most weatherproof things, but it's better than just getting outright soaked. Luckily, the guard who normally would have been standing by the door is standing a fair distance away, thoroughly distracted in conversation with some blushing young man. Gods, no wonder Arden managed a position in this joke of a place. I quietly slip out into the gardens, hastily raising the parasol soon after to keep the rain from immediately assaulting me. Heavy droplets soon saturate my makeshift shield as I walk the same path. People should get umbrellas! This time taking care to avoid standing in front of any windows for too long. Recalling what Celeste told me last night, I attempt to envision where the ambassador must have walked to. She said he'd gone further down the path from where I was standing. So if I keep heading this way then... When around the corner of the garden, my eyes catch something a little unusual. One of the bushes is oddly squished as if someone fell onto it. And the surrounding grass is a bit patchy, like some of it was picked up or scuffled against. Considering how meticulously well kept the rest of the garden is, I think this could be the place the ambassador fought with his murderers. I lower myself down into a crouch, patting the grass and squinting to see if anything else looks unusual or out of place. The parasol is starting to droop a bit, and I'm going to feel very silly if I get caught out here with nothing to show for myself.
Oh, what's this?
When I reach inside the bush's crushed leaves, my hand suddenly brushes off something against that feels metallic. I take a hold of it and pull it out carefully, revealing it in my palm. A bracelet. A pretty silver one too, with fine enough filigree to make any girl jealous. Could it be then that the woman really did commit this crime? The ambassador was certainly a male, and if the fake god was the other half of the conspiracy, that only leaves one individual left. I don't see how it could be a girl I know though. Celeste, Emily, Valora, Hazel. Although come to think of it, this bracelet looks awfully familiar. Haven't I seen Valora wearing this? A sudden rustling noise makes me jerk upright. My heart skips a beat and I slowly step backwards, lowering myself a little. I thought no one would come out here in this weather. Franz? Praying for whoever's there to go away.
Kitten, is that you?
A wary voice calls out to me. Moments later, a tall tan figure steps out of the bushes and approaches me, shaking his head.
Franz! You just about gave me the scare of my life.
And the woo of my life!
Do you care to explain why on earth you're skulking around in the rain, holding a lady's parasol and a bracelet? You don't cross-dress on the sly, do you? Come to think of it, I'd love to see you in a skirt, if I'm being honest.
I barely managed to resist the urge to crack my silk parasol over Franz's head and instead just glared his delighted smirk.
Ignoring your bizarre conclusions, I was looking for any clues that could help out our search.
Ooh! Ooh! That shot! Franz's eyes light up at that as he saunters closer, his large boot sinking slightly into the soaked dirt with each heavy step. Let me screenshot that. Was it saved? Oh well.
It seems my clever little kitten got a step ahead of me. I was planning on coming out here earlier before I heard about that unpleasant business with your aunt. You did get the news, didn't you?
Yeah, I heard the news. When a nod grimly, Franz rubs at the back of his neck with a hand, shaking his head sympathetically. That is a beautiful shot! The raindrops have matted his dark hair to his forehead, and the water streams down his tan features in a way that serves to make him look even more exotic.
I found this bracelet actually, and it reminds me of one Valora wears. Which is, you know, not very helpful with the whole proving her innocent business.
I show Franz the bracelet, and he frowns thoughtfully, rubbing a hand against his cheek.
Not a very encouraging sign. I doubt they'll let you ask her about it, considering she's locked up for questioning. But there might be someone else who could tell you if it's the same one. It doesn't look like there could be many other clues here, though. And the rain's probably ruined any residual evidence that might have been left behind.
I can't help but study Franz as he leans down by the bush, scanning keenly through the grass. He carries himself with a practiced calmness, like he's done this sort of thing a number of times before.
Have you investigated a lot of crimes in the past? It seems like a strange activity for a member of a royal family to be involved in.
Alright, he doesn't know that I know. Franz pauses, shooting me a look of shock. Oh, that's right, they did mention I knew he was a Peruvian royalty.
Ah, Silas mentioned your bloodline the other day. I wasn't sure why you kept it so hush-hush.
He gradually pushes himself up to his feet, pursing his lips for a moment. Franz really doesn't like talking about this, does he?
Well, I'm not exactly proud of it. Nor am I very welcome in Peruvia any longer. Although I have no desire to go back.
Stay with me! His grim tone catches me off guard. He seems unusually vulnerable right now, and I wonder if this might be my opportunity to learn more about him. Save before you mess up, you cunt. I'm saving here. I feel like the extra audio is actually delaying this lag for even further, but you know what? I feel like I don't have the best specs. Do I cheer him up or press him further? Press him further. I like pressing, deciding to try and get some more details about this passing in my throat pointed.
You've not been very forthcoming about anything to do with your past. Couldn't you spare a few details to assuage my curiosity?
Preferably in your room. Oh no, that's so dramatic! His brows furrows. Sorry guys, I'm running out of time in the hotel room. They're calling me. I'm not used to seeing such a calculated look on his face, and it makes me grow uncomfortably tense. After a moment, however, Franz exhales a soft sigh, shaking his head a little.
Since you've already learned about my family, I suppose I could tell you that, well, I knew the Peruvian ambassador. He was an awful man.
His voice darkens a little once more, and he runs his fingers through his rain-slicked hair.
He was awful? Surely you were a little glad when you discovered he was snuffed out then.
He deserved it, certainly. What frightens me more, though, is that I'm starting to think the disciples didn't murder him just because of his status. Which means they may have another target as well.
My confusion deepens as Franz glances off into the distance, seemingly musing to himself more than anything. I've guessed for a while that he knows more about this case than he's letting on, but there must be a reason why he's avoided divulging it all to me.
Ignore my ramblings. I'm just getting paranoid from being wrapped up in this mess.
Just keep smiling at me and we're good, honey. His demeanor quickly lightening again, Franz ducks under my parasol, which is barely big enough for me, let alone both of us, and curls an arm around my waist. Ooh!
Let's go back inside, shall we? Unless you want to try kissing in the
Yes,
rain.
I want to try it. I want to try it now.
Yes, let's go inside, that is. Not kiss. Stop making that face at me.
He chuckles at my flushed cheeks as we head back towards the castle. Internally apologizing to the poor lady whose parcel I borrowed, I leave the unfortunate accessory outside. After peering through the door's window to ensure the nearest guard's back is turned to us, Franz motions for me to follow him into the main hall, and we sneak in without drawing too much attention. While I'm fairly dry, Franz is dripping somewhat ludicrously all over the polished floors, and I give him a disapproving sigh.
You're making the servants' lives hell, you know. You should really go dry. Oh, hello, Hazel.
Hello, sir. Would you like some pizza, sir?
Sorry, couldn't help it. Comes to a stop before us, an alarmed look on her face.
Sir Vivian, you're all wet. And you... Who are you?
He's my husband. Franz stares at Hazel, and Hazel stares at Franz. He doesn't really seem to know what to do. Has he never seen a little girl before?
I am called Franz, miss. How do you do?
Somewhat awkwardly crouching down, Franz extends one of his large hands to Hazel. His movements are tentative, like someone trying to entreat a stray cat.
Oh, I'm Hazel. How'd you do?
She firmly grasps his hand with both of her tiny own and pumps it up and down in an energetic shake.
Don't break my arm off now.
It's hard for me to believe my own eyes, but Franz actually appears a bit flustered, or at least somewhat unsure of himself. He didn't act this way around Celeste. Is it possible that he isn't used to being around children?
Are you Sir Rivian's friend? If you're not, you should be. He's a very nice man. He gave me a pastry and everything. Sir Franz, do you need a towel? I don't think Silas would be happy if he saw you getting the floor all soaked.
Hazel points to where a puddle of water is forming around Franz's boots, pressing her lips together.
You're right. If it wouldn't be too much trouble, then please.
I think he's not used to
I won't
dealing
be
with
long.
servants
Don't
and children.
dare move, though.
After sternly eyeing Franz, Hazel turns and rushes off towards one of the side corridors, the pattering of her footsteps lightly echoing in the main hall. It isn't long before her little shape disappears, and I turn to Franz with a laugh spilling out before I can stop myself.
So the smooth-talking rogue gets tongue-tied around children, is it? Who knew?
Ah! He shoots me a slight glare, still visibly embarrassed. A gleeful sense of having finally gained the upper hand for once brightens my mood considerably.
Is it because you feel guilty about using your normal crafty tricks on them? Or perhaps you've forgotten what innocence is like?
That's enough out of you.
Sounding more sheepish than angry, he pinches my cheek playfully. Perhaps I was close to the mark though. I've never seen him acting quite so unsure of himself before. I decide not to push the subject further, but a smirk still creeps over my lips when Hazel runs back a minute later, clutching a towel almost as big as she is.
I'm back! Oh, you've really gone and messed up the floors now, sir.
She's right, a growing puddle is hard to miss.
Well, Franz, you're just a downright embarrassment, aren't you? Go on, get toweled off like the wet dog you are.
Ow!
You two are really intent on bringing me down today.
Letting out a sigh, he lowers his head a bit, bowing before Hazel like she's some sort of princess. She clutches onto her towel with determination, then reaches out to start drying off Franz's soaked hair, standing on her tiptoes so she can reach. The scene really does resemble a girl drying off some large hound, no, perhaps a wolf, who's just come in from the rain. I love that imagery! It's a surprisingly touching moment. I didn't think Franz, of all people, would ever put himself in such a vulnerable position before all this. And I suppose there's something rather endearing about how awkwardly he stands there, subjecting his hair to the enthusiastic ruffling of Hazel's towel. Finally, after Franz starts to look substantially drier, Hazel takes a few steps back to survey her work with a satisfied nod.
There! Now you won't ruin the carpet!
Franz lets out a slightly embarrassed cough, smoothing back his ridiculously ruffled hair with one hand and scratching the side of his neck.
Thank you, Miss Hazel. You've saved both the carpet and me, it seems.
She beams in response and tucks the towel back on her arm, seeming rather proud of herself.
Well, I need to be getting back now, but you two take care of each other, okay?
Oh, he takes care of me, alright. Yes! I'd be lying if I said I wasn't startled when Hazel addresses Franz and me firmly.
You're both my friends now. So, Sir Franz, make sure Sir Rivian doesn't get into any trouble.
That's rich coming from you.
Aww. Even as I mutter doubtfully under my breath, Franz lets out a soft chuckle all of a sudden, dipping his head in a nod.
Of course. I'll make sure to keep him safe. Don't you worry.
The unexpected gentleness in his tone leaves me momentarily speechless. Who are you and what have you done with Franz?
Good. I'll see you later then. Don't go back into the rain.
With a playfully chiding waggle of her fingers at us, Hazel turns to go off again. She runs so much I don't think I've ever seen her walk anywhere before. I exhale a gentle sigh, feeling slightly warmed inside despite the lack of progress we've made today in our investigation. If only I could be as chipper and energetic as Hazel is about everything, life would surely seem a lot easier.
Well, as thorough as she was, you still seem a bit damp. You'd better go change clothes before you catch a chill. I don't want you sneezing all over me tonight.
Ooh! All over the bed.
Yes, dear, just as you say.
I love the Franz voice actor, holy moly. He offers a sly little wink at me, then slips off towards the side staircase, presumably aware of an alternative path to get to his room without climbing the very visible main stairs. I watch him disappear in the distance with a fond smile growing on my lips before I even realize it. Shaking my head, I smooth back my slightly wet bangs while contemplating what to do with the bracelet that's still in my hand, glistening slightly with moisture.
Sir, you're getting the floor rather wet. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to... Riv?
Gasping at the sudden voice of the god nearby, I quickly swivel towards him. Gasp. Only to see Arden approaching, blinking at me in surprise.
You weren't here a little while ago? Did they put you on emergency duty or something?
I'm only briefly filling in for a friend of mine. Some horrible events happened last night, you see, so I volunteered to keep an eye on things.
He quirks an eyebrow at me curiously, his eyes flicking over to the dampened parts of my person.
Were you out in the rain? A bit of a strange pastime. I could have brought you an umbrella if you'd asked.
Oh, Arden, why are you so cute? I could have brought you an umbrella. Oh. I am a terrible person, guys. I let out a nervous chuckle and fiddle with the bracelet in my hand, shrugging in reply.
Just exploring a little. I'm a big fan of rainstorms and all that, you know.
What's that you have? It looks like the same bracelet Lady Valora wears. Awfully sorry about what happened to her, by the way.
Hold on a moment. She's wearing it now? You mean this is a duplicate?
When I cut him off, Arden tilts his head at me in surprise before nodding a little in confusion.
Yes, I helped escort her to the holding cells. It fell off her wrist, so I picked it back up and gave it to her. I commented how pretty it was, and she told me how she'd gotten 2 of them made. One for herself, and one for her daughter.
Daughter?
It seems her daughter's estranged now, unfortunately.
Don't tell me there's an estranged daughter that's out to frame her.
I didn't get a chance to ask more before she went back to yelling about how unfair her detainment was, you see.
As expected. As expected. This new piece of info clicks strangely in the back of my mind. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but there's a very uncomfortable possibility I sense opening up.
Very interesting. Well, thank you, Arden. Always useful when I least expect you to be.
Thank you.
That is so backhanded. I call shade. I clap him distractedly on the shoulder, offering an encouraging nod before turning to head off towards the stairs.
Wait, Riv! The masquerade's tonight, you know. I don't suppose you'd be interested in joining me?
Maybe. Or I'm going with Franz. I'm sorry, I'm focused on the Franz route right now. His hopeful voice calls out to me from behind, but I can't bring myself to look back at him.
I already have a date. Sorry.
I didn't even have to choose. The sense of deja vu flits over me as I offer a distracted reply, but my thoughts are too preoccupied for it to stay on my mind very long. When I return to the upper floor's hallway, I head to Linnaeus' room to try and ask him some questions. His response, however, is so brisk and annoying that I sent away before very long without much of any new info. I try Valora's chambers next, where one of the gods very reluctantly lets me inside. After snooping around for what feels like exhaustive hours, though I don't turn up any new clues. It probably doesn't help that the gods searched it and left it a mess, of course, but it also seems like it was wiped of any evidence. Save for the conspicuously incriminating bloody cloth, of course. Then when I attempt to find Alistair's chambers, I'm met with no success, and my request to God for a visit with the last night's attackers met with blatant refusal. Exhausted and frustrated, I eventually head back to my own chambers, flagging down a servant on the way and requesting a light meal to be brought to my room. I'm running out of time, guys, so I think I'll just pause here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm sorry for the frequent breaks, but I've actually been pretty busy. work doesn't give me a lot of energy afterwards, so my deepest apologies. For now though, I'll try focusing on this one and your dry delight. I'll try making a few more other videos as well. We're updating Camp Buddy and full service. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.